Hello, Beauts. Today we're going to be listening to Aicha's story. Although she had a difficult childhood, she did not give up and has set the foundation for her children to be successful. She's a graduate of the University of South Florida, CEO of Mob Marketing, and creator of Woman Up. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
How did you feel when you first found out you were pregnant?
I was happy. I was happy. I felt like I was going to get something that finally was mine, that would love me, that I would love, that everything. I was happy.
You lost your first child when you were 8 months pregnant?
I did. It was a crazy experience. I had went into I was happy. I was having my first child. I was almost due. I went into the doctor and found out the baby had no heartbeat. So they rushed me to the hospital to see if they could induce labor, to see if there was something they could do to save the baby, but it was too late. It was too late.
How did you feel losing your firstborn? What was the emotional toll that had on you?
It was pure devastation. I think that I was devastated. That's everything that I had basically wrapped up in that baby. I mean, I was 17. I was scared. I was going crazy. I felt like that was the end of the world for me.
So you got pregnant afterwards, correct?
Yeah, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter after that baby. Just a couple months later.
So how many children do you have now?
I have 3, and then I have one that I've adopted as well.
How old were you when you had your 3 children now?
18, 19, 20. I had them all before I was 21.
So how long were you with your children's father?
Before the kids or after the kids, or the whole time?
The whole thing.
I think we were together for probably about 4 years.
Why did you leave?
He was a child. He was an adult. He was an adult age, but he was very immature in a lot of his ways. He was a child. There was no hope there. He had began drinking real bad, and I wasn't gonna be part of that. I wasn't gonna stand for that.
Since your child's father had no influence over their lives, was it a strain for you to care for 3 children at such a young age?
It was a lot of responsibility, and I was embarrassed in a sense, because it's like I had all these kids myself, and now I gotta ask for help or get somebody to help me or something like that, and it was embarrassing, and I couldn't do it on my own. I didn't know that there were government programs. I didn't know any of that was, in place. Different times I had to steal food sometimes for my kids. We didn't have food. We didn't have money. We didn't have anything.
Did you have a support system to help you with your children?
I had my mom, and my mom was everything. I found it kind of hard to ask her, for help at times. So.
Your mother, she was also a single mother of 4 children?
Yeah. It was me, my 2 brothers, and my sister.
And she also adopted 5 family members, the same way you adopted a child?
Yeah, she did. My aunts, she ended up getting my aunt's kids. And they lived with us for ever. They lived with us for a while, a long time. When we had my cousins living with us, I really didn't see my mom. My mom was always gone. She worked 2-3 jobs. It was, she worked during the day, during the night, and on weekends, so I would never really see her. She was always gone.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel then like she didn't really love us, because it's like she's always gone. She never spent any time with us. I don't think it clicked in my head until I was an adult that, she was doing what she had to do to provide for 9 children. A 10-person household is pretty difficult to deal with. but it made me feel kind of alone. You know, I was the baby of the family. I was the youngest, so it made me feel alone.
So now that you were an adult, I'm assuming you understood why she did it, because you in turn adopted a child.
Now that I'm an adult, I understand why she did a lot of the stuff that, you know, she was doing, not just even with that part, but, you know, a lot, you know, and it makes me thankful that I've had such a great mom. And, you know, I understood that too late in life, you know.
So your mother passed away when you were 25 years old. Given that you guys have such similar stories, what type of impact did that have on you?
When my mom died, it was it was like crazy. It was horrible. I wanted to die with her. I didn't think that, you know, I would ever recover. And I wasn't able to grieve, you know, because I was dealing with that. I was dealing with somebody coming to my house and damaging my stuff or threatening to do something to me or whatever the case may be. I couldn't even, you know, really deal with, okay, my mom, this is, you know, process it. I had to deal with him and what he had going on.
Did he know your mom passed away?
He knew my mom. We were living together when she passed away.
And that was his response to your loss?
Yeah, he was pretty unstable.
So you've indicated that your faith helped you cope with your mother's loss, because I mean, I can tell that you haven't grieved from it even now.
It still bothers me. Tonight I was driving home and I don't know what made me think about her. And I did. Because I had like a crazy day today, you know, just running back and forth different places everywhere. And I thought about her, like some of the stuff she must have went through with us. And I just wanted to tell her thank you. And I can't. And, you know, in a sense of me, it's like, all right, she knows you're grateful. She's there with you. She's seeing you. She's hearing you. You're all right. But, yeah, it definitely has been hard. It definitely has been hard.
What is your advice to single young mothers, or just single mothers in general that still have their mother?
Treasure your mom. You only get one. And I lost mine really young. You know, I was 25. And I can't get that back, you know. And I think you realize the importance of your mom later in life, you know. I'm 30, and just, you know, maybe a year or two ago, really, it's hitting me bad how much of a great mom I had. And now she's gone. So you got to treasure what you have now.
So you were in an abusive relationship when your mom passed away. Your child's father, unfortunately, resorted to alcohol. What helped you leave these relationships?
My kids. I couldn't have them seeing that or seeing me, you know, sad or mad or depressed or down, you know, because I think kids pick up on that. You know, they know when you're sad, they know when you're upset, you know, and all of that. And I can't have my kids growing up with that.
So you haven't had successful relationships. Is it because you lacked the positive male influence when you were growing up?
I think a piece of me, that is why. You know, I had a crazy childhood. I was molested by a family member when I was really young. And, you know, not only that, well, that is very traumatic, you know. But not only that, but, you know, the relationship, I think, with my father has been the most damaging when it comes to me trying to make a healthy bond with a man. You know, my dad was like my superhero, and he essentially picked his wife, you know, over me, and that broke me. And it's like I think in my teenage years, you know, I was searching for that male figure in my life that loved me, and that's probably why I ended up with my kid's father. But I think now, you know, as an adult, I form unhealthy relationships with men, you know, partly because of that, but partly because of, you know, I was a broken person and I look for the broken people, you know, because I feel like, okay, if they're broken and I was broken, maybe I can help fix them, you know, but it never works that way. You can't help fix nobody. They got to want to fix themselves.
So what's your advice to mothers who are still trying to fix their broken child's father, their broken current man, their broken ex-man? Because we see that a lot.
Yeah, we do see that a lot. We do see that a lot. And you can't fix anybody. I mean, you will break you trying to fix them. And if you're in an unhealthy situation, the best thing I can say is get out of it. Run far away as you can. Because there are millions of men in this world, and it's dozens out there that are willing to step up to the plate and aren't going to hurt you, and willing to form a healthy bond with you and your child. And just get away from that. Get away from that, because he's not going to change. The situation is not going to get better no matter how mad he says he's sorry, or how many years you've been with that person, or, oh, this is my kid's dad, I got to be with him. No, it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for the kids, and you got to get away from it.
Now let's go back to one of the topics you mentioned, and I know it's a difficult one for you to mention. You were molested when you were younger. Did you ever tell your mother, your father, or?
I didn't. And I didn't because I felt as though I was protecting my sister. I had a sister in the house, and I never told. And maybe I wish I would have.
So with mothers that have young children, and nowadays it's girls and boys, what would be your advice or things for them to look at as far as their child's behavior to try to prevent that?
I don't think that maybe you can even, I know sometimes I read books or read news articles and they'll say, oh, the signs were there, my child was maybe overeating or acting out. But sometimes children don't act out. I was reading a newspaper article today about, there was this coach that, Tampa coach,
yes,
that had was asking a child to send him, crazy pornographic pictures. And I looked at it and I was like, my God, like it's really nobody you can trust around your kids. And, I think that the best thing, to have with your kids is a good relationship, so they feel comfortable coming to talk to you about, stuff like that. And protect your children. My kids really don't go anywhere. And I'm not saying, shelter them and, keep them in the house and all this stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just don't do drop-offs with your kids. Talk to your kids. Ask them about, stuff. A lot of people are just okay with dropping their kid off for a day or a night and going out somewhere or whatever. That's not okay. I mean, I understand every now and then somebody needs a break, or you work, or you have something, productive to do. But every single weekend or something like that, it becomes a pattern. Have good relationships with your kids. Me and my kids talk about everything, even inappropriate stuff. I tell them, come to me, and I know how to put my mommy hat on and my friend hat on, so I could juggle between the two to be able to tell them, okay, like, what's going on. Because I never want them to feel as though they can't come talk to me about anything.
So even from a young age, your encounters with men were kind of negative.
Yeah.
Have any of your encounters with men been positive, or do you feel that's something that you had to love yourself first before you can find that?
I think, I've had a lot of male friends, just friends. And there are good men out there. There are really good men out there. And, it's about really being confident with yourself and finding yourself. To be, able to be open up and susceptible to, letting one come into your life. Because like I said, you run across broken men, and you bond with them because you're broken, and you think, okay, we've had this, and this, and that it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's something that you gotta love you before you can love somebody else. And I think a lot of us are walking around, with a lot of self-hate. I read a book the other day, and it was talking about how if the root of the tree is bad, so will the branches, leaves, and the fruit. Everything it produces will be bad. And it was going back to saying how much hurt and pain and bitterness and resent that you all have in you. And it's stored deep inside of you because either you're scared to talk about it or you're resentful about it, and you really don't let that show. And in turn, all of that hate and pain and hurt inside of you, it constantly produces something negative, whether it be negative behavior, negative words, negative thoughts, or whatever the case may be. If you are hurt in the inside, you're going to hurt on the outside, and you're not even going to realize it. So you have to repair you first, love you first, before you can love somebody else.
So your father chose his wife over you, and I'm assuming you went to live with your father because of the situation at your mother's house. What was it like living with him before he got married and after he got married?
Before, it was great. I was like on cloud nine. It was my dad. We did everything. I was his only child at the time. His only child. And it was great. We used to go on weekend trips, places, theme parks. It was no limit. And it was some of the best years of my life when it was just me and my dad. And when he married, her name was Monica. When he married her, it went away. My mom is black and my dad is white, and he ended up marrying a white lady, and she hated me. She used to call me niggers, and my hair was curly, the mixed texture, and she would cut it off, said she hate those nigger curls, and just all kind of stuff. That lady was horrible to me, like horrible to me. And when they had kids, their kids were white. She wouldn't want me to touch her kids. She would say all kind of nasty stuff to me, and her kids loved me. My little sister, her oldest daughter, Alex, she would flock to me before her mom, and her mom hated it. And I would always tell my dad, like, this lady was hitting me or this lady was saying stuff to me, and he wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me until, it got so bad at the house, and until he sent me, he said he was going to send me to live back with my mom, and I ended up running away from there, and I went back to my mom's house on my own.
So your father chose his wife over his own child, and we see sometimes that mothers choose their husband over their own child. I can see just by looking at you the emotional effect it has. Do you feel that this is something that occurs often?
I think it happens a lot. And I think that a lot of parents are still are maybe needy or in search of love, that they are so deeply in love with their spouse or significant other that they don't see the signs that are there, that they believe their spouse over their child. I think it happens a lot, or pick their spouse or significant other over their child. I see it happen all the time, especially with men. If they're just dating a female, they will pick that female over their child. They will choose not to go to a football game or not pick their kid up or not do whatever, to spend time with that woman or to please that woman or whatever the case may be. It happens all the time.
Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, a son needs his father, but you being a daughter who had such great times with your father was sort of your escape from a household that was just to the brink full. How did that make you feel as a daughter?
I felt betrayed. I don't talk to my dad to this day. I don't care to talk to him. I don't have any emotional attachment there. There is no, anything. I know it may be something later on in life that I feel the need to deal with, but I don't feel like, oh, I want to talk to my dad, or oh, I don't have a dad. Like, I don't care, and maybe it's something I'll get later, maybe I won't, but I don't talk to him. I don't deal with him, period.
Has he tried to reach out to you?
No.
Not even his grandchildren?
No, he is very, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for. Maybe prideful, egotistical. He feels as though like he is like the head of the house, the man. Like you would have to come to him.
Alpha and Omega.
Yeah, and it's crazy because him and that wife aren't even together anymore. They ended up getting a divorce, and no, he hasn't reached out. Nothing.
So he chose a temporary relationship over the lifelong one that he would have had with
his
you.
Child, yeah. And his grandkid.
Since you lost your mother, which is their grandmother, have they ever asked for their grandfather?
No, not once.
So it seems that you were probably able to even overcome the betrayal from your father because of the unconditional love that you got from your children. So how have you changed your life around for them?
For my children, I've always been full of ambition. I've always had a lot of motivation in me. I think that they just pushed me to the extreme level where I need to be. I've always had, had a job. I've always, had my own home, car, whatever. But it became to that next level with them because it's like, what do I have for my kids? You have to think in terms of, if you died right now, what do your children have? Okay, if I died a couple of years ago right then, what would my kids have had? I mean, I was renting a house, making payments on a car. What did I have to give my children? I mean, that's nothing. Your mind frame should be to constantly be building a foundation or preparing a foundation for your children. And that's where my mind is right now, and that's why I go like crazy with what I do, because I refuse to die right now or tomorrow or next week or whatever, and my kids have absolutely nothing. And the foundation that I lay for myself, hopefully it will be able to transfer to them, so they will be able to take pieces of it and build their own.